way out of the camp, not just for our rooms, but for the whole camp. You know, they got like real solid. Just line people up next to you know. Fun. And so that was the premise of this whole thing. John, so we had to get time to figure it out really quickly. You know, but I do that with the whole the files, the
You guys already know the son and you see my bird by now?
Yes, ma'am. Hey, Megan.
Right.
I bought this gate before this gate, and then that night when we put John up and he talked to him,
Right.
you know, those kind of things. And then afterward, he just kind of just lost it.
Yeah.
Got the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah.
I think they took him to the Hilton. Worked on him. He's hallucinating. He thought I was dead. You know, after a while, you do hallucinate.
Right.
He heard me get killed and all that shit. Yeah.
Who's this she?
There's the youngest one.
She's with you? Mm-hmm. Yeah. They both work and they both work and you watch your during the day.
Yeah.
That's cool. And what's your older daughter's name? I remember what it is.
Becky?
Becky, that's right.
She's back in D.C.
What's she doing? Yeah. What's she doing?
She's an aerospace engineer. Works for really a contractor who has a contract with at the Naval Research Lab there.
Ah.
the centuries they had. Maybe really high on it. Well, I think it's 2002 is the date for these programs. Yeah.
So I should ask Connie what he thought of the escape
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
of the plane.
I think, if you get a hold, I talked to Larry Green.
Mm-hmm.
He said, yeah, he's something.
Okay. Now, was he? I know he wasn't in your room. Was he in?
He was a senior ranking guy at the zoo.
Oh, okay. And the annex was part of the zoo.
Well, we were about right against.
Right.
Right up against it.
Right.
I guess this is what it is.
Yeah.
Because all of us, most of us, not all of us, but some of us went to the zoo over to the annex.
Yeah.
Just did the wall.
Right. Right.
George wall.
Right.
There was no French movie lot. This whole area was.
Right.
The French made movie stuff. These buildings, these annex buildings, were duplexes. And they were probably storage or something like that.
Yeah. Yes, they were elevated.
They were elevated.
Yeah.
Double walled, double
right.
floored.
And what it was is, so they had like 2 rooms and had like a wall between, and Bill and 2 guys that escaped. There was 9 people to a room, and they were in this one. And then Connie Troutman, who was the SRO for the camp, the annex, was in this one, as was Mike Mcgrath. And they used to go up into the ceiling and communicate across that way.
They had holes up there. Yeah. They had whole big holes, round holes in the ceiling with barbed wire.
And that was actually how they got out. They went up through the barbed wire into the ceiling, and then took from the inside, they threw the tiles. Like they were showing the French tiles.
Yeah, I read that in the book there.
Yeah.
How they did that, and then they went down the river and got caught.
Yeah.
No, that's different guy. That was George.
Yeah. I had never heard about that escape before.
Oh, George Hooker.
Right.
That was from the we called it power plant.
Right.
Power plant. And they floated down the river.
But y'all's was the one, like theirs, they even said, they just kind of said, okay, let's go tonight, and they went.
Yeah, well, it was a Saturday evening.
Yeah.
Saturday afternoon, they said, well, I'm glad this thing's canceled, but look what's happening.
Right.
When it started blowing up, it's dark, and here come the damn thunderstorms and rain, far failed. But it's nice for us to watch.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying though is George, they figured out where they were. They had already established how to get out. I'm distinguishing like between the 2 escapes.
Yeah.
You guys.
We knew how to get out of the building.
Right.
Out of the camp.
Right.
But from then on, we said, the only way you're going to make this is get to the river.
Right.
And to get to the river, you got to go through town. So that was a non-starter. So the only way you're going to get the first thing you want to do is get away from people.
Mm-hmm.
Get away from the indigenous personnel. Because they're going to get you.
Yeah.
Not the army is going to get you. The people are going to get you. To turn and go the other way. Go away from town, out of town, because you're out on the edge of town. So get on out, get to the mountain.
Yeah.
And that was going to be a long haul.
Right.
You just weren't going to survive. Down.
At this juncture, wasn't, I know early on, Jamaica said you were in a whole different part of town, right?
Yeah.
Close to the river.
He thought we were right next to the river.
Yeah.
Everybody else, the guys at the camp, if you asked if you were Tom Metzger,
Right.
they had a place that was the other side of town.
Right.
John wasn't going to buy that.
Right.
So he'd agreed to anything at the end, just get out. Once you got out of the wall, he's going to go wherever the hell he wants to go anyway.
Yeah. Mm.
You had no navigation. It's dark, it's raining.
Right.
You could wander around circles really.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing to go by.
Mm-hmm. Would you get the thing with Atterbury's? You never saw it before.
On the wall.
Oh, really? That's off the wall? Oh, wow.
I loved it off one day out there.
Oh, really?
So,
It is on there. Yes, I guess currently he is MIA. Wow. Okay, we'll get out of your hair.
You've been sucking up the stream.
He's listening today, aren't you?
How old are you, Nathan?
You saw how old yet? Remember? know that you know, what's your name? Can you tell me, man? Tell me, man. Can you tell me? I bet you Joe.
You don't even know your name.
Yeah,
Huh?
Joe?
Joe?
Joe.
Hi, Joe.
You're being coy, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Coy.
Shy.
Talk to the girl.
And,
She's good. She's good.
mm-hmm.
Nice girl. But you're also shy. A little bit. A little bit. Hey, want a beer or something? Get beer?
We'll just get out of your hair.
Yeah.
Let's get back to.
Well, then thanks for showing me the movie, man. That was awesome. I would love to take a copy of that.
Has that been released at all on like PBS or anything like
No,
that?
it could be
They were
theaters.
still marketing. They were still trying to market. I went out to they had it wasn't really a premiere, but it was a showing out at Beverly Hills at the Arts and Sciences Theater. Really just had to get an award. It's for the LA Vet. The veterans. Headquarters back in Moses,
Charlton Heston.
and Father Staff were there. And of course, they had about five or six of us as on our guests. And Moss and they were showing it for the LA veterans. But it was also kind of premiered that part of the world.
Right.
Hollywood part of the world, and try to get interest in something like that to market. They were hunting a way to market it. And,
Yeah.
Marketing plan for it.
Yeah.
See, they're not profit. They aren't getting anything more off of it. It's a matter of they did a good job.
Right. Right. Well, they're doing something right because, like, about a week after you told me about it,
It's had premieres all over.
yeah, it was. They had a review on it in San Antonio's paper. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll come up with some more good questions.
Yeah.
You know, it bothers me because I know the story so well, you know, but
Well, it was. Let me see now. Obviously, for Guarino, it would be his thoughts on it, afterthoughts on it.
right,
If it was or not, or what happened to him. You know,
Yeah.
how, he read his book, you can pretty much tell what happened.
yeah, yeah,
He covered that pretty well.
right.
But just Fred McDaniels, he does look out to him.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's how I read it.
Yeah, I've never read it either. I mean, I definitely, especially after looking at that now, I'm definitely going to get a copy of that.
Have you written a book on your experience?
No.
That's how my involvement with them all started.
And there's some good documentaries on our total experience. There's no good coverage of that escape. And it's a classic storybook.
It is.
There's a lot of, for over a year, almost a year and a half, of what went on in that room. It was a story in itself.
Mm-hmm.
There was fights, there was all kind of friction. But by the same token, there was a joint effort to make the best plan we could if we had to use it. So there was
So yeah, he told me years ago when we were at Falcon, he always wanted to write a book about it, but he said he was a lousy writer and whatnot.
there was some humorous things.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, when Termisi, somebody, and I won't remember all the details. They used to take us out to movies where they'd take you out after dark. They'd sit you down. They didn't want you seeing anybody else except the roommates. And so they'd cordon this place off with blankets, things that just be a little cubicule, and you could see out you know, there'd be some guy over here next to you, guys over here, but they would be blanketed, you know, so you could see. Well, somebody said they planted a knife in this, what was it? Shit pit, where they dumped the crap and they'd take it out of there and go irrigate stuff, you know, fertilize stuff. They dump one down in that little Dimitri, and that's it, try to get that. It's a movie, big falling into that stuff. And I couldn't find it. Came up out of there, just
Covered.
that was funny. But that's John, you know, he goes extreme on everything. What we gonna do with it? I'm gonna have to buy one. And there was the story of the bucket. Remember living in the bucket?
Yeah.
There was 9 of us in the room, and in the wintertime we would fill, I don't know, I had 4 or 5 buckets. In the wintertime, when we weren't sweating a lot of fluids on them, we would fill those things to overflowing. There was only 4 or 9 of them to overflowing. We'd be whizzing out there. They had a, let's see the pictures of it now. They got some of the books to see this. There was wells. There were 4 wells. 6 wells, I guess. Where the floor was double floored, so it was high. So there was a well and a vent down there. Because we could fill those to the brim. We kept complaining. Well, one time here comes this brand new bucket. Shell painted. It had never been used. The reason wanted to earmark that for the skate. The hang on the end of the show, you Paul, put 2 stuff in it or whatever. It carried water. So there's a lot of heat on that thing. So he was earmarked for that, so we would fill them to the brim, you know. And there was so much friction and arguments and whatnot. One day, Red Wilson, Flint, he was a redhead, you know, temper anyway. And they'd done an argument or something. They hated each other. He just wanted to get enough of that stuff. He was enough sticking it, and just lit off this thing. Roasting it, you know, that sacred bucket. All that, you know, just lit it. That was the end of the bucket.
They couldn't use it for water after that.
Who is that? Who is that? Who is that? He's pregnant again. Why? There's he. Come here. That's it. Hi. She was entertaining.
Hi, how you doing?
That's the little girl in the purple cape.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. Think your friend?
George.
We still think your name is Joe.
Yeah. I actually met you years ago. I worked for him way back at the Falcon. Yeah.
Oh, nice to meet you again.
Nice to meet you again.
I'm Dave.
Hi, Dave.
Nice to meet you.
Dave's a clever man. They work for, they're flying down. Still?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's, the
Every magazine.
I'll try to do an article or a feature on Great Escape.
Someday I'm going to write a book on it. And I've been telling him that for 7 years. But this is a good start anyway.
What are we doing? Well, can you say goodbye?
Bye-bye, Megan. Goodbye.
Bye, Megan. Bye-bye. Bye-bye,
Nice
Joe.
to meet you.
See you tomorrow, okay? See you tomorrow, okay?
I know where your sugar is today. Meet you again.
Nice to meet you again.
Bye.
Go in your closet with your light on it.
Yeah.
My oldest son, Doug's here. So good with it now. Kevin. That's too late.
Oh,
Really, Kevin.
yeah. Yeah.
Throw up his speed, just give it a shot.
Yeah. this has been built up. I mean, not your house, the neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, putting in a King Soopers up the road. And,
That would be nice.
yeah, yeah, that'd be convenient for you. So, yeah, Dave grew up here. This is like a foreign land to him. You know, how much it's been developed.
Necessarily or something else in it.
Amazing.
Wow, here's the,
I mean, he was east of town and all out towards Peterson and
Yeah.
all that. It was amazing. Yeah. Phenomenal.
I'll bring all this stuff over there tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay, that's great. One of the things that George told me about is you have
Flew in there. Let's see this.
Howdy.
Hey, no, that's Baugh. Hey, that's George Hayward. George Hayward. That's George. Hi, Dave. That's from Urban Magazine. Your people were coming out front.
Way back in the day.
Oh, yeah, it's for a car. Are we gonna eat? I understand you got that light?
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, Mom was gonna pick up some of that stuff the other night.
Okay. You know, we're doing a story just on the escape. And, yep. What do you remember of, like, for instance, the controversy with Sunisi's data rank and who was SRO in that room?
Okay, first for your tape recorder, I'm Mike Mcgrath,
Mm-hmm.
and I live next door to he's doing the Great Escape episode,
Mm-hmm.
1969. Bill, you were next door. I think we covered this
Oh, yeah.
a couple of years ago.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
So, want the rank issue? You want the rank issue?
Yeah. Yeah, because here's the thing is, you know, I know the story from talking with him so much and then that come across to you too. And I sold my bosses to Airman Magazine on letting me do a story on it. And it's different from the book that I am going to write eventually on it. What I want to do with the story is, you know, in one magazine article, there is not enough room to cover it to the depth. You know, what I want to do is kind of give an overview of the story, and then, you know, basically tell the story, but tell it as opposed to reconstructing it as a narrative, tell it from the recollections of everyone involved.
Well,
and then at the end, you'll kind of where are they now?
I see the big flaw with your problem is you're going to be writing, if you write the truth, you're going to be writing bad stuff about a guy and tearing down his reputation, or, you know, something about a guy that's not proven in court, it's not court-martial, and, you know, it's probably unfair to him, you know. I don't know him personally, so I just have only met him once or twice, and so I don't really know him personally, so, you know, you gotta be careful of that.
Well, I'm going to talk to him too. Go send me his address. I wrote him a
Have you
letter.
read his book?
years ago. I haven't been able to find it in years.
Well, I have it downstairs.
Oh, do you? 'Cause I read it years ago.
Publishers borrowed it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's out of
but the
print,
problem,
too.
the
You can't
problem
get
with
it anymore.
the book is, he talks to Don Heiliger and people that live in the room, the book is kind of pulled from, he tells it the way he sees it,
Right.
and out of the new design.
Right.
To me, it's borrowed. It's out, I don't have it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'll tell you what I know about the rank, because I was there with Conrad Troutman, who was the senior ranking officer. I think there were 8 of us in the room.
Remember who was in there?
Well, I think,
Baugh was in there?
yeah, Keith Paul's in there, I think Lori Lindell was in there. Okay, then, yeah, Lori's with you. I think Tom Norris is in there. And anyway, the key to the rank issue, as I know it, was relayed by a couple of guys who lived with you just before that last shuffle, before we moved in there. And I think maybe Tom Norris and maybe somebody else. Let's see. We had a shuffle, I can't remember who else came in. Jim Gibner was in there. Conrad Troutman, myself, and maybe Tom Norris. I think Keith Paul was in there.
Speaking.
Jim Siegelman was in there for sure. Yeah, so I've got most of them right here. But one person, at least one or two, had lived with the Neezy in the previous room. And here's the story that was kind of pieced together starting about a year before they escaped. When we first do the shuffle, and up comes, Conrad says, well, who's the senior ranking person in each room? Well, back comes a name from each room, and back from the room next door comes the name John DeMeese, senior next door. And the person that was living with us, that had lived with him, said, no, that can't be right. Red Wilson's in that room, and Red Senior is DeMeese. And so Conrad says, well, it says right here, he tapped back or sent a message to the walls. It's him, and he's the next senior. So Conrad said, well, let's straighten it out. So he sends it back, and back comes a note. Most of the notes were written by DeMeese himself for the entire year, until the end. And back comes a note that says, well, DeMeese was promoted to major, and the data rank is so-and-so, or, he was promoted on such and such state list, he was promoted to major, and he's senior man in the room. And Conrad says, well, if you're promoted to major, what's your data rank? And if you're major, then you're senior to me, and you're senior man in the camp.
Mm-hmm.
And back comes another note that says, well, I really didn't get a chance to pin it on. I was on the list, but I got shot down before the pin-on date. And it's just kind of carefully worded. And Conrad says, then you're really a captain with the data rank of so-and-so. And he comes back and says, well, yeah. And we send back and says, well, who's really senior over there? Red Wilson or you? And it comes back and says, well, it's really John DeMeese. They kind of equivocated.
Mm-hmm.
And it was never very clear. It said, well, John DeMeese's senior. And then it comes back to, we have our own input in the room, which is the guy that lived with him the time before. He says, Conrad, he says, that's bullshit. He's, there's something going on over there. Wilson is senior. He's got a senior data rank. It's easy. And Conrad says, but he tells me right here in this note that he is the senior ranking man. And he says, I choose to believe, nobody lied to me, so I choose to believe DeMeese senior man. And so a couple of guys that knew DeMeese said, well, if you choose to believe that, Conrad, that's your choice. But the simple truth is, Wilson senior.
Well, that would have made John senior to come.
Right. Yeah.
He would have been the senior guy in the camp then. So.
For data rank as captain?
No, that's if you believe his major then.
No, they finally got dropped.
Yeah.
So Conrad finally got it pinned down that he wasn't a real major. He was just on the list, the promotion list of major, but it never pinned it on. Right. Until you.
Yeah.
Okay, so Connie finally bought that. He says, but he tells me that he's senior, so I choose to believe him. Nobody lied to me. But then, and I remember this conversation very clearly. And finally the guy says, well, Connie, if you want to believe that, that's up to you. but they're telling you a lie. Wilson is senior to, Maisie, and they're not telling you the full story. And Connor says, well, I choose not to believe that. They told me he's senior, so I accept that. And then it was kind of heated. And I'm just a bystander, I don't know. And most of us didn't know, but a couple of guys did know. And finally, when Connie just said, that's it, that's enough, I don't want any more discussion, that's it. He's senior, he says he's senior, I'll accept that. So we all shut up, and the guys just kind of swallowed their pride and shut up for the next year. But all of us in the room heard the argument, and all of us kind of, Connie was a real strict military, everything military protocol, and to him, every military man has honor and integrity and would never tell a lie.
Right.
That's just his world. It's a very straight and narrow world, and then he tried to conduct himself that way. But the rest of us kind of suspected that was it. And maybe, Bill, you probably know the
Well,
guy.
no, it did you sort of out.
But Connie never accepted it until a year later.
It got sorted out sometime.
It got sorted out the week before the escape in our room.
Well, maybe in your room, but in our room, it was sorted out earlier.
Well, you never told Connie.
Well,
And Connie never accepted it.
I don't know about Connie's mind.
Connie never accepted it, never knew it. Until the week before. Hello? Yes. See a little back there, Bill? Well, anyway, see, we got two perceptions. He looked at the room tonight,
Right.
and I know that no matter how they got it cleared up, all of us in our room except Connie knew there was something phony going on there.
Right.
And she's not here to hear this part of the story, but it came out in part of this heated argument that Red Wilson didn't give a damn.
Right.
That John Demese wanted to be senior, he wanted to be a leader, he wanted all these things, and Red Wilson was a laid-back, give-a-shit type guy. I mean, he was just casual, laid back, and says, and he basically said, this will have to get from Bill, he basically said, hey, if you want to be senior ranking officer, you can be senior ranking officer. No skin off my back.
Right.
If you want it, you got it. And Demese was such an aggressive guy, he said, okay, then I have it. I'm senior. Red Wilson didn't give a damn.
Right.
And so you need to confirm that. Hey, Bill, this is my hearsay from Tom Norris or whoever lives with you guys. Whoever lived with Demese. The story we got in this heated argument with Conrad was that one of those guys said this. He said, what happened in that room was Red Wilson didn't really give a damn. Very laid back, very casual, didn't really give a shit about military courtesies or the data rank. And he told Demese, he said, if you want to be senior ranking officer, you can be senior ranking. I don't give a damn, you can have it. And Demese was very aggressive in this conversation, I remember, and said, all right, then I'm senior ranking officer, I'll be senior ranking man in the room.
No.
And but that's kind of what I remember from 30 years ago.
No, it didn't. Originally, yeah, that's what, when we were trying to figure out who's senior.
Yeah.
And we went, because I would be senior, because I was on that too, see?
Yeah.
So, and then we decided, well, it was John. And then after the words flow back and forth, David Mack could shoot that and keep that.
Yeah.
Then we sorted it out and it was John. He was senior Mack.
But you never told Conrad.
Well, I don't know about that.
I can tell you that.
What about the note?
Because
One
Demese
thing I
wrote
a long time ago, there was a note that went from your room to your room, signed by everyone but Demese,
Right.
saying
that was the week before the escape.
that was the week before the escape.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Well, I do. It was clear as a bell because we all took it in the toilet and read it. Conrad was so shocked he came out with his face white and says, you guys got to read this. I can't believe it. And what happened in early May, about May 1st or so of 69, after a year of these preparations and stealing stuff and sending stuff back and forth and talk, we had all of our discussions over the years. Is this a good idea? Is it not a good idea? They haven't taken this into consideration. They haven't taken that into consideration. And I think most of the notes were written by Demese during that year. And Conrad was never informed by your room, you know, whoever wrote the notes, that he wasn't senior. And so Conrad always had that assumption. And we can call him up on the telephone and ask him that particular question. That might be an important question.
Well, I'm going to go interview him with someone.
Well, Conrad lives in Wichita Falls.
Yeah.
And Conrad has a good memory.
Mm-hmm.
Conrad is, you know, he's a smart guy. You know, I didn't really go to, well, he did go to college. He got a commission, but Conrad has good memory today. I talked to him. He has a clearer memory in a lot of these things than I do.
Mm-hmm.
When he tells me, he said, no, Mike, I didn't say that. I said this. He is right on a lot of the things. So anyway, that's the way I remember it, that Conrad didn't know. Anyway, the week before the escape, we got this pretty long note in there, and it was signed by all of the people except Conrad, that I remember.
Except Demese.
Except Demese. And it says, basically it says, Conrad, we think it's time you knew the truth. You know, John Demese has been writing all the notes, and we've been excluded from inputs on the notes. And here's the truth about what's going on in our room. It said, Demese is not senior, Red Wilson is senior. And Demese hasn't been planning all the things that you have sent over requirements. Conrad was sending over requirements. Well, if you're going to form an escape committee, you should consider this, and you should memorize all the camp names, and you should do all of these things that Conrad thought, you know, anybody should do. And Demese was sending back lip service. Yeah, we'll get that done, and we've done this, we've done that. And basically, the note said, none of the things that you said have been done. Demese is planning this escape for himself, because he wants to, you know, he hasn't done some of the things. But it laid out a lot of things in there that were all on everybody's mind that had not been communicated from that room to Conrad. Conrad got the note out of the wall, into the shitter, you know, the book door shut so he can get rid of it if he has to. And Conrad reads it, and he calls us all in individually, we all read it, and we tear it up and destroy it. And that's when we had some real serious discussions that night. And Conrad writes back a note, basically. I think I was the note writer, because I could print the smallest, and I think I wrote the notes, and Conrad transcribed and I wrote down whatever it was. And went back the next day. Basically, it said, stop all plans and preparations. The escape is, your planning is hereby canceled. Red Wilson, you are the senior ranking officer. I want you to take charge. You know, I understand from the notes that you're a senior ranking officer. You take charge. All, you know, I feel like I've been deceived or whatever. And the plans are all off. They're canceled. And I don't remember we had too much communication the next few days. But then about a week later, the Saturday night, when we get the tap on the wall, and it said, Demese and Atterbury are going into the attic. If Demese is going into the Atterbury, come up to the vent and talk to me. So we blocked the vent, and we get Conrad to lift up. It's about a 9 or 10 foot ceiling. So we got him up to shoulder level. And he's standing up there, you know, and Conrad's up in the vent, and he's talking. And Demese, we can't hear what's going on, but I just remember the words that were basically like this. Conrad said, well, if you're going to go, then God bless you. You know, that was about all he said. Mm-hmm. He didn't say, no, he didn't order it, you're not to go, or anything like that.
It was something like, you might maybe tell me what exactly. It was basically it says, I can't order you not to go.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, but if you're going to go, God bless you.
So, you know, whatever.
Yeah. That's pretty close. I think he writes it. And see, Conrad remembers those exact words. Because when we got down that night, he told us what the conversation was up there. And we heard his side, but we could barely hear some mumbling. Demese was talking through a little vent like this, you know, between the wall and over to a vent on the floor, about 12 feet away. You know, it's kind of, they could hear each other, but we couldn't. Right.
I don't think anybody lived with me. Maybe knew him before, knew him on the outside.
I always have to ask Conrad that, because he might remember that point more than I do. And, but, you know, I got the telephone numbers of almost all the players. Everybody. Oh, he gave it to me. I've got it. Oh, you've got it? Yeah. You mind if I can have people go to that? I'm planning over the next couple months of face-to-face interviews with every single person involved, even Demese if they would acknowledge him. Yeah, and then, of course, the one he won't talk about is his conduct in that last base where he got when you left the airport. That was really. Yeah, and Ted was very angry about that. That was really bad.
Yeah.
And,
Is that why he has no contact with anyone?
well, that was
That's kind of right.
that was personal to his wife and his base commander and using, doing stuff he shouldn't be doing as a base commander. And, but that's not on the court martial record, that's not any record anymore, that's just personal.
Yeah, and I'm not
in
even
general.
that stuff.
And,
I'm not even.
but as I understand it, from the guys that knew him over there, one guy was here with Scott, and he was actually on the base with him. And he can tell it firsthand.
And I knew that cross spirit from it.
No, you just got to be careful with it.
Yeah, I don't want to do anything that.
Yeah. When you moved it, it's out of whack now. I can't keep running anymore.
Level it up.
Well, that's level. So he basically got fired. They told him he wants your resignation. His general told him he wants your resignation by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. And by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Wow. That was at midnight.
He knows it.
Yeah, he was no fix. And he was
Bring
off
your hands a little bit lower.
He was off the later, 8 o'clock the next morning.
Wow.
And that was processed out of the district.
Wow. Yeah, I'm not even interested in any of that. I'm only interested in his experience during the escape and the time thereafter.
Yeah.
What was the general feeling in your room during the plan while they were planning it, and what information, what was the perception you guys thought everything was being done?
Well, it was divided argument all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Half the people were saying, this is stupid, there's no outside help, there's no support, the guy's doing it for selfish reasons, he's doing all these things, and Conrad was more of a military mind saying, well, no, wait a minute, if, we are obligated to form an escape committee, and if he wants to take it, nobody else wants to do it, why not let him do it? Give him his chance. Let's see what he comes up with. Let's see what he plans. Let's put tasks on him. See what he responds to him. See if he does things. And Conrad was always the opinion, let's give him a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And other guys were saying, Conrad, I think it's wrong. We know the guy, we know this, we know that, we don't think it's right. There's no outside help. There's no way to get allowance or Cambodia or the coast, and we think this is crazy. But Conrad was always, he was a senior guy, and he said, well, then help me come up with a plan, and we'll task him to come up with these things and do these things, and then we'll find out.
Right.
And
Was it planned?
I thought something, Paul, I didn't know what it was.
so Conrad was always the one that really is the senior guy. So give him a chance. Let's see what he can do. Let's see what he can come up with. Let's see what he can prepare.
Right.
And they always gave him a chance.
Right.
He wasn't going to cut him off because of compassion, please to cut him off. Conrad was 41, turning 42, and the rest of us were between 28, 29, 30, 31 in there.
Yeah.
So Conrad was a little older, a little more mature, just a little more seasoned, and just said, let's give him a chance.
Right.
But there was division.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have no regard for fossil film.
Yeah. 25 cents, 25 cents. That's old cheap pilot. Pilot can't afford film.
The last trip I was on, it was a 10-day trip, and the photographer shot 70 rolls. 70 rolls. It was a bag full.
There's the cost of the trip. See.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want the tape recorder out of there?
I don't know if you got it. No. How soon, like the next day, or did you guys realize that they'd been caught, or?
Well, let's go back to that night. They went out, I guess, at midnight.
Mm-hmm.
maybe 11 o'clock. The camp had shut down. The gong rang about 10. About an hour after that, I guess. My memory. And so we were playing cards back in the corner. We played cards. We played bridge. Yeah, there you go. You can do that. Break your wrist. The guards, we played bridge until about 2 or 3 in the morning, thinking, so tomorrow the ship's going to hit the fan, and they're going to come get our cards, they're going to tear apart, and we're not going to ever be playing bridge again. So we played 7 rubbers that night. And and finally we got exhausted and we went to sleep. I think it was around the standard time, 7 o'clock in the morning, 7 to 8, somewhere between that hour. And they're going to bang on the door, and there's a guy there, and he looks in, he opens the door, and he wants us all up for a head count. And very carefully, he counts it. And behind him is about 5 people standing there. So we knew at that moment, they're caught already. Because otherwise, they wouldn't get, they couldn't even come next door and come to our room and get 5 people standing behind, officers. So they knew at 8 o'clock the next morning. I understand they found them about dawn somewhere. Had to talk to the media on that, but I think it was very early in the morning time. Because they had search parties up, organized them. As I remember the story that passed around the camp, that the media finally got out to people, that somebody had seen them go in the old cemetery, and the next morning when the sun came up, there were people everywhere. There were people with sticks combing the countryside into every bush. And finally, an old man found them in the thickest bushes they found. But I think that was like 6 or 7 in the morning. Oh wow! They weren't even out for like 8 hours, 10 hours. Wow. They were out probably from I guess midnight till time was good.
I tell you, I think you probably got to talk to John or somebody to really look again about timing on that. But when they opened our door up, and they opened your door up, they weren't sure who was gone.
Oh, probably not. They probably didn't have a name.
I think they saw all the evidence in the camp that somebody was missing. They left stuff on the wall.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
They left a rope hanging down the building. And they left a blanket on the wall over behind the quiz rooms and on that 2-holder or 1-holder back there. That's the way you got up on top of that.
Over the barbed wire.
Over the barbed wire. I think they laid a blanket on the barbed wire.
So my theory about catching them early in the morning, they'd be all out.
I think when they brought them back to camp, because we were in torture, we were in deep in criticization to get the shit kicked out of them. I would say it was mid-morning, but so put it around 10 o'clock or something when they brought them back. Because everybody left. They turned us loose, and there's a lot of action in the camp, and all the interrogators left.
Yeah. They did. They left the floor for several hours.
Yeah. And they came back later. So I think that's when they brought them back into the camp.
Yeah. Yeah, but they very carefully counted it. So I remember them just standing there.
I think they were still trying to figure out where this thing all came from. Yeah. Probably our building, because they had a thing hanging down off the wall from our building. So.
Yeah. So put these back in the bowl, we don't break it. We don't break the space.
You know the story on these bracelets? The protocol on the bracelets were that when you came, if you had a bracelet that it was a known POW, I think, just put a star on it.
Oh, really?
A known POW. And then when the guy was released and came home, they returned him to the film. So that's why I got all these.
Right. Yeah. And I had that many too, and an artist took them and was using them and was doing a sculpture for me. And I moved and he moved and I lost them all. Oh, that's why I only have 2. I lost at least that many.
Wow. And every once in a while, somebody will give you one. I got one downtown here, the gal had worn it, didn't know how to get a hold of it, all once it turns up on me.
Yeah, I got the 2 I got from the guy in Denver that sent them. And then every once in a while somebody says, we really need that for a museum or this or that. You know, like Lee Humberton, I sent him one.
I sent a couple different kinds, copper, brass.
So, but now I'm down to a couple. I just don't want to get rid of them. That's all I got. Put it down.
Did they take any of you guys out? They took Connie out eventually.
That's what I was starting, yeah. They took Connie out after
Right away, or?
And right away. Took the senior ranking officer, I think, out of their room. And then he was gone for several days. Then they started taking us individually out after that, and working us over individually, and interrogating us and wanting to know the instructor. And by a week later, they could say, "Okay, Mcgrath, you're the intelligence officer of that room." You know, you say, "Whoa." Connie must have told us the job that everybody, you know, whether you were the mess treasurer or the whatever you were,
Right.
you know, they knew. So they got it out of Connie. And then Connie went through terrible torture that a lot of things in Connie's mind went blank. He actually went crazy.
Well, he started hallucinating.
He's hallucinating, you know, and he's not sure of facts from fiction.
Yeah.
You know, he says they took me out and they lined me up and they had an execution squad, and he says the rifles were clicking, you know, and it was a fake execution. But he says, I'm not really sure if that's true. And then he says, Mike, I talked to you. I know I talked to you, and well, you really helped me out. And I said, Connie, I never talked to you. Yes, you did. I was right next door to you. You were talking to me.
It's the same thing to me. He said, I remember them taking you out and shooting you, you know. He thought sure I was dead.
Yeah.
So
Connie
went through a bad time.
He was hallucinating, and it was a lot of pretty. So don't question him about that because it's mixed up.
Well, you question him because he'll tell you.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell.
Right.
I got a hold of this. I guess I should take it back. Put it in the car.
I'm gonna dump the coffee out.
It was really essential that he get those out before his book comes out. And Flynn brought the argument, took out the fitness report, and then to meet Flynn.
Well, I'm gonna give him his opportunity. You know, if he doesn't want to talk to me.
Mike, you did get any of those books there?
Oh, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, let's keep the pen out.
Okay, I got it, yeah.
To put together POW.
That's the whole process, folks. It's my first film museum.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the most complete collection of places. He's a consummate collector of military tributes. He's got 7 bullets, the Tiger Club, and Axis. They're massive.
The ones that did have hanging up in
Yeah, little shoulder.
Oh, okay.
He's got practice of thousands. He's got
So I got one last question for both of you, and just a short answer from a year ago. But looking back now on this case 30 years later, what is the one thing that still sticks with you the most about that whole time period, that whole record period?
I think we all agree it wasn't worth it. Too many people got hurt. One person died. People got deeply hurt. That's the family, friends, physically, and no one hurt this person. It affected their whole life. But all of that happened, I think, that's my thing.
Well, that's true.
Now, and then you come to the point, is it really duty bound, is duty related to this, or need stopping it? And you go back to the greatest speech in the there's some great stories for television movies, but you look at the really basic things. 70 guys were killed. 50 guys were shot after they were attacked. So 50 families lost their loved ones because these guys were killed. What did they accomplish? Over a history and some food for people who are movies about 40, 50 years later. But other than that, I mean, it was very, I don't know if it helped morale, I don't know if it helped the war, I don't know if it did anything. I mean, 70 guys, I'm not advocating behind barbed wire, but you stay there for the rest of the war. But it's pretty serious consequences. In Germany, not a very lot of people, I mean, in Germany, 50 guys lost their lives.
Well, we knew the program. That's an ability to get because the contract is one person.
Well, we get a couple of guys like David Snell and Cameron. These guys were in the resistance, close up, I'll never give anything, I'll never do anything. But finally they went over, edge, and they said, I'm not going to eat, but they're feeding the food, but it's on separate agreement, and they starved themselves to death, they died. They went over die. And people were trying to get them on bananas, take care of them, help them, and they refused. They just starved themselves and died. And they were resistant. And yeah, I think the family suffered. People were dying from yeah, but you have to be flexible. If they're beating you because you don't bow, no word like that lost God. It hurts to get beat. You beat up, you twist it. And it's easy to just sit down. You're too big, this will pass. It's not the end of the world. You give up your life to and nothing is business. I think the only thing that can affect anything is how you feel your memories of things. And I know I held out for 2 days for the work. I was so personal today. And then I held out for another 2 weeks before I wrote anything down. I didn't answer it. But for 15 days, I did the best I could, and finally I had to give up. And that's why I wrote my book. And then, what I love about it, and maybe it's just like this, and they don't have enough stories to me about what I went down. Then I found my name and misspelled my name. It's just about that. So in my life, the real tough times, I just, as well as anybody sitting down, I can make myself work from home. I'm really down. It feels like, well, it's stressing me. It's really everything about it being fine. You can't believe that. But some people, they just disappointed when they're what I did, it was like, and the guy that cooperated, and he just kept looking at it. Even the guys that say we started, something. Other guys who just jump in the same and work more in line with everybody else. Well, that's a thought. That's kind of funny for Jason. Well, finally get roommates now. I mean, you know, really down yourself. Now we have to, I did that too. That's nothing. I did that. So, and eventually, you realize the light bulb comes on.
Survival training 84.
Yeah, well, see, that came out of our experience. It was, we self-molded it, came up with a kind of a practical survival thing. Common sense is what it was. You know, keep resisting, and once they leave you alone, start resisting them again. Make them come at you again. Don't cooperate with them, but keep bouncing balls back and forth. And then we got out, there was a big panel concerning the code of conduct, should it be rewritten, et cetera. In Washington, and Bud Day was on it, and a lot of high rollers, a lot of senior ranking guys, wrote a lot of heated arguments and discussions. And it finally boiled down to, you guys are right, you survived, you remodeled your own code of conduct in there. So what they did, they changed the code of conduct. They changed one word. And the opening thing says, I am bound to give name, rank, number, date of birth, you know, and all those different articles. They changed the word bound to the word required. And that's the only change in the code of conduct. And then along with that, they went to the survival school and changed the method in which they were teaching. Instead of saying, you're bound, name, rank, hold on till you die, it says, okay, you're required, but if they break you past that requirement, give them as little as you can, resist, and then they use us as an example, and come back to resist them again. So it's a softer line in the survival school. Rather than that word bound was fucked up a lot of people. You know, you can honor bound. Where's it? B-O-U-N-D, right there. That's a pretty strong word.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And before, it hurt too many people unnecessarily. So now the word is required. So I guess you could call it honor required the next word.
Don?
I got found killed.
Right.
We can still fuck with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then I got to leave my cadet at 5 o'clock, so that kind of screws us down. I got to leave by 4:30 to get sure. And
like Robbie said, what the hell is this? So far, I lost it. Yeah.
probably has some nice words to say. There's a couple of film documentaries then. You know,
We watched the one, the most recent one.
Return with Honor,
Yeah.
and there was one on television called Stories of Survival, done by
I saw that one. I saw that one
Education
too.
Channel.
Yeah.
It's kind of, they're similar in some respects.
Right.
But,
Right.
high interest this last year, the 25th year.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, news, everybody's
Yep.
got their focus on it.
Yep.
And lots of stuff coming up on the website now. You got the Vietnam page, this, and the official POW page. You got stuff coming up with all kinds of crap. But MIAs, and it's like cottage industry popping up on,
Mhm.
on this subject. And, most of them I ignore and I stay away from. The National League of Families and Ann Miles Griffith and those guys that still say we demand the full accounting. You can get off into fringe people that say there's still people alive, they were taken to Russia, they might be alive, and they could still be alive in the jungle, and they can't get a host. I just don't have time for that. I say, well, I'm sorry, I know that there's 660 of us alive when the guy came out, and for the living ones are the ones I'm concerned with, or the families of those who died. But I just limit myself to that, and I don't get involved in all the conspiracy stuff,
Mhm.
false hope. Now, I have a pet peeve in the false hope business. To sum it up in one story, it's unfair to the families to keep false hope alive. And my example is a guy in Shelton. He was the last POW. He was listed as a POW, although he was never seen in any POW camps or environment. He was one of these guys that got on the ground, talked to his buddies in the air, and said, "Hey, I'm alive. I'm okay. I can hear them coming in. They're surrounding me, and I can hear the rifles." And he says, "I'm going to destroy my radio." Well, you never heard from me. Well, he's alive. You don't know if he's captured alive or they shot him. You don't know whether he died in the route to the camp. You don't know if he died, but he never showed up in anybody's thing. And so he's never been around for 34, 35 years. And yet they kept him listed as a POW. His family, somehow they pushed through, well, he was alive, he had his radio on, he must be captured as a POW. And somebody bought it in Washington, because there's other people in my category. And they kept him alive for like 20 years as a POW, until he got promoted to colonel, and his wife's getting his colonel pay for years and years. And then finally the government says, well, I think about 2 years ago, 2 or 3, 5 years, somewhere in there, they said, oh, he's XX, just like all the other people. It's called presumptive finding of death.
Mhm.
That's when you look in here.
Right, in the listing.
Now, if you look in my 1995 edition, I think he's Shelton. But S-H-E-L, Shelton, Pearl, XX. And you don't have the date there, but Shelton, his wife went out a few years ago, went out in the backyard and blew her brains out with a pistol. And what she was a flag bearer for the National League of Families and all these people to say, you know, they're still alive, we got to count for them. And after 20 years of pressure, she blew her brains out. And to me, that was, you know, they're really shitty, you know. So I don't, you know, kids suffer, families suffer unnecessarily. This is my original list, all way back then. Let's see if Shelton's in here. Shelton, PP. In other words, prisoner.
Mm-hmm.
This is 1995. They had him listed as a prisoner.
Well, he was the only one that, when they closed out the books and wrote everybody off, everybody but one.
And he was the one that kept symbolic.
That was
Right.
to keep the door open. And that falls into the political realm of every president can say, well, we still have POWs and we will demand a full accounting and make these political statements to appease this political group, get them settled down, now the president can go on about his business.
Right.
But every president's been forced to make that statement by this political group that I will demand a full accounting.
Mm-hmm.
And Shelton was the flag bearer for many, many years. I just thought that was for political expediency and unfair to the family. You know, then you divide families. You know, the parents can't put their kids to rest because their daughter-in-law won't let it rest, and the kids can't have a new father and a new life. She can't get a new husband. The kids can't get a new father and a more stable environment for them.
Right.
And so kids even grow up screwed up. you know, the mother's saying, oh, you've got to have faith, your father's coming home, you got to keep it. Well, as kids grow, they can get kind of screwed up. And I saw some in Lemoore like that, where the mothers were just adamant things, and the kids get up in high school, and they got problems. There's discipline problems, drug problems, and mental problems. And I think it comes from an overactive mother that demands to keep this issue right up there in front of their faces.
Yeah.
And this book, I think is really
People failing out. That is a violent, goddamn traumatic program.
yeah.
More of us got wounded.
Yeah.
Got wounded bailing out
Okay.
than out of a high-speed jet aircraft. Everybody took it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My arm's still dislocated. The humeral head severed right off. I got X-rays of it. And it used to be in a nice socket like this. It's severed off right here. It's down here. Comes up 90 degrees, and then it's shoved in here. So my X-rays kind of look like that. The splinters out the bottom. My arm's sitting there like that. So I can't raise it. It goes to there and it goes to there. That's all it does. But what I do is use my chest. When I raise my arm, I reach with my chest. So I reach everything by doing this. So
Producer, right?
yeah. When I'm flying a 757, they say, well, how can you fly an arm? How do you reach the switches? That's what I do. That's my answer. Oh yeah, you can switch this. Because they're about this high. The switches are right up here. I can't get this arm up, so I guess like that. It works. And United didn't complain.
Anytime you see a guy that's just bailed out, he's beat up.
Yeah, we did a story on the guy at Mountain Home, bailed out of a F-15E at 750 miles an hour.
A lot of us were doing
Pretty
that.
bad shit. Backseater died.
You see that picture that Jeffrey's on in Iraq with a puffy face?
Yeah.
I was flying a 727 at jump speed. The advice they told all of us was that don't write about the whole story of anything you pick. Pick some little segment, narrow down on it, and you're going to find that the more you dig into your little narrow subject, it's going to expand into a whole thesis. But if you take too big a picture and you try to write a thesis on it, it's going to expand beyond your control,
Right.
and you're going to end up with mush.
Right.
And so you might think the same thing. You have to take a look at all these books, and you might have to narrow down on some aspects.
Yeah.
Now the guy that did the whole thing was that Honor Bound.
Yeah. No, I'm doing just the escape.
And it took him.
Yeah.
It took him. Yeah.
I'm going to do just the escape.
Yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of the detail has to come from Demetri himself.
I know, and I'm going to give him the opportunity. I sent him a letter last week, told him I was working on it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give him the
Yeah. I
opportunity.
got his address in there.
Yeah.
We don't list him in there. He's not a member of the
Right.
organization.
I know.
He's never paid any dues. He's never going to be part of us. So
Right.
nobody really cares if he's really part of us.
Right. But I'm going to give him the opportunity. If he doesn't, it'll go on without him. But,
Yeah.
I'm going to talk to everyone involved.
Yeah. Conrad Troutman's.
Yeah, I'm planning a trip sometime up to Wichita Falls up in the next couple of weeks to try to hook up with him. And so many of the other ones, Bill's roommates, most of them are retired right around San Antonio.
Yeah.
When he sent me the list with everyone, I was like, they're right there. They're right there for me. So I'm going to be contacting them over the next few weeks too.
Well, I got to get to work, guys.
All right.
See you guys later. All right.
Pleasure.